Good evening and welcome to the penultimate episode of the company. Firstly, just checking you can all see me. Yep, fine. Not many people have their microphones on tonight, which is fine. But if you are able to put your microphone on, it will add to the atmosphere. If you can't, however, it doesn't matter. Thank you for being here. This is the 11th of 12th. 12 episodes in which you've experienced being part of a company with many potential benefits to society, but also quite a number of pitfalls. We left you having escaped from a sort of Inception homage in which you were able to break out of a dream simulation, really, and certainly you survived it. And actually, there was a potential for you not to survive it last month, but we'd probably had to let you. We'd probably still had this one. Now it gets serious, though. Tonight, the choice is there. But there's no one here that hasn't come before, so I'm not even going to. And if you are that person, I have no respect for you. No, that's not true. If you, in the likely event you are attending live for the first time, having watched catch-ups, welcome. But you'll soon get the idea, as all of the rest of you know.
Madness.
You will determine the course of the story by voting in Twitter polls and occasionally by debating in the group chat. Tonight, I will say the decisions you make shape the story more than ever before. There are two completely separate versions of this story, only one of which you can take. Is that a good version of someone's kind of time and creativity? Well, yes, actually, I've loved it. This episode is better than any of you fuckers will ever know. 50% of it will remain invisible to you. But also, the eventual outcome will have an impact upon next week's, next month's finale. It's not quite next month. Anyway, the finale. We'll discuss when the finale is at the end. So the decisions are slightly weightier tonight because we're at the business end of the story now. No more padding about pretending to solve murders. Everything matters now. That is not to say that you should feel pressure. Actually, if anything, there are most of the puzzles this month are sort of not as horrible as usual, but some of the choices are still quite unfair. Right, it's time to start. Oh, I'm not saying murder doesn't matter. I'm just saying.
Just checking.
It's important that I don't say murder doesn't matter. Yes, you remember the last episode ended with you being exposed to an enormous number of potential nightmares, escaping from them, breaking out of the overarching nightmare, and ending up back in your bed. That's a glimpse of a previous tweet. We're going to go into the story now. That was a really funny bit, I think. You've adopted a mouse, you don't know how to care for it. It talks like Danny DeVito. You've been wrongly arrested. Your dick is and all sorts of. But we're bit with Claudia Winkleman. Fun stuff, actually. Here we go. This is the start. Hey, mister. It's Francine's voice. Better than that, her hands too. In fact, it's all of Francine. She's in bed with you. Hey, Mr. or Mrs., Miss, Lord, Lady, Rev, Prof, Right Honourable, or no title given. You had a bad dream. It was a bit more than that, you want to say. You had an entire frightening immersive experience in which the company placed both you and Francine in parallel simulations from which you desperately tried to wake. Where's Benjamin? You ask. For those people who missed last ep, he's your irritatingly clever nephew who came along with me. I'm worried he got dragged into it. I feel awful. Shh, says Francine. Shh. Sheffield, she finishes. She would have worked better as separate tweets, but they ran into one of us. You could already see the joke was telegraphed. Still fun, isn't it? Bit of fun. He's got mates up there. Got the first train this morning. Sorry that took so long to say. I've got a kind of stammer, but it only affects shh sounds. Never worth mentioning before. Amazing, isn't it? Still at this late stage of the company, we still learn new things about the characters. I love your kind of stammer, you whisper. Shucks, mutters Francine. She snuggles in next to you and takes off your gilet. Let's do something interesting. Yes, Francine did disappear, but she's back. Probably because it was a dream, but was it? Etc. You've got a strong intuition. She means it in a sex way. What can you offer her in the bedroom, though? Most of her experience is in the missionary position, but maybe you could spice things up with the fireman position, or the opera singer position, or orthodontist. Her eyes are on you as big as terrapins. Which professional vocation are you going to try to evoke between I'm sorry to ask the question, sheets? So, as is traditional, a sort of early loosener of a poll for you. You can go for missionary or fireman or, and we've put here, opera singer, la la la, don't know why, or orthodontist. Only one of those are only one of them is possible at a time, of course, but all four of them are viable sexual positions, although three of them have been invented for the purposes of the company. As far as I know, anyway. I did do slightly more Googling around the subject than I'd like to, really. No, just to clarify, although you have a gilet on, you are not, as far as I know, Stuart Laws. Sometimes people just have gilets on, and we don't know what happened to you after last month, but it was quite tough. You could be forgiven for having turned into Stuart Laws. Yes, I think people will say things like orthodontists love the drilling, and we just have to get on with it. I'm in the Impatient headquarters, by the way, where there is mood lighting. No Alex tonight because, we've managed to sedate him. I hope you're all well. Yes, well, there's a bed, of course. Everyone knows we have a day bed in our office. And I spent a fair bit of the day on that bed because of my, and I hate to use the phrase, fucked back. Not lying down, actually, because the NHS website counsels against that. I'm seeing a doctor tomorrow, but that's not the point here. The point is the vote. Very quickly, as always, there's a reason why we have a bed in the office, Anna, but it's slightly complicated. So far, the lead is now, this is interesting. Opera singer is in the lead, and when I was writing it, I thought if I just put la la la, then we'll go for that. Sort of don't want to imply you people are easily led, but there's not really a right answer paired for us. And most of the night there is a right answer. Quite a few of these decisions are crucial, but I always like to give you a kind of a fun one to start off with. But also, I am interested in this as a social experiment. The capitals, as you say, Jen, almost always does result in mind you, the vote is not yet decisive, but time to go. Meanwhile, yes, easily bed. It is fun, actually. It can be fun. We'll do a very quick, as usual, register of where everyone is joining from. Please put it in the chat box. I hope you're all having a nice time. Yes, Doncaster, Manchester, Sydney in the end, Surrey, Dartford, Edinburgh, Harran, which is amazingly is where my grandmother was born. Haywards Heath, Cambridge, Ohio, Barnsley, Plymouth, Scotland. It's the usual suspects, and then some of the unusual suspects: Plymouth, Portsmouth, Ely, New Zealand, of course, Dorian and Dorian's dog, Russia, Chichester. It's an absolute rogues gallery. It really is. Well, welcome to all of you, as always. West London, yes, Hazel, the living room. But the question is location for the living room. Western Australia, it is amazing. 8 or 9 countries covered, even in this. Fine. Oh no, I thought it was probably near the kitchen, Hazel, because otherwise, I actually met Hazel last week in Shrewsbury. In fact, I've met 2 or 3 of you since the last episode of the company. Look at that.
I was traumatized afterwards because I accidentally insulted you.
Yes, I saw your tweets. Actually, there was no need for you to apologise. If anything,
Absolute therapy, rocking therapy, provided by other decaders.
Matt claims he's never met a single person called Hazel. I find that possible, but kind of it suggests a sheltered life. Thank you all for being here. As I say, it looks like Opera Singer's going to win. I mean, really, whatever happens here, there's just the poll is ending, in fact, and just about exactly half of you, almost no one went for missionary. There was some. I think the funniest one was fireman, but you've gone for opera singer brackets la la la, or rather colon la la la, and fair play to you. Pete also claims never to have met a Hazel. You've gone for opera singer position. You act out training for 10 years at various conservatoires, going up for roles, being knocked back, losing confidence. All this takes an hour and is so realistic, Francine is in tears. Then you do a complex mime of getting an email, going to an audition, going to Broadway, and giving the debut performance of a lifetime. Francine is on her feet, giving you an ovation as you sing, sex, sex, sex. The rest is easy. Quietly, together, in the afterbang, you continue the situation. You and Francine are in love, for sure. But the AI behind the company thinks it loves her too, and it wants you out of the way. Dead as a dodo. Dead as Dido. A Dido, Queen of Carthage, that is. Dido, the pop singer, is still alive, although it has been a 5-year wait for new solo material for her. You don't know why this thought seems important, but maybe it'll come to you later. And now you've received this summons from the company to come in for a review. It feels pretty dangerous to deliver yourself into the hands of what you have to regard now as your mortal enemy, you remark to Francine. But we saw in the last episode that the company is arguably even more dangerous when it comes after you, counters Francine. And if you missed it, it's available on catch up, along with all the other chapters so far. Almost a chat between you and Francine. I don't know, says Francine. Her phone goes off several times with notifications. She plunges it into a glass of water and they stop. Important? Yeah, maybe. I feel like we should go in. We is nice, but it's your call. You hate it when it's your call. Things always are. You're in 2 minds, actually 3. Part of you thinks you should be brave, march into the office. Part of you says hide here. And you also wouldn't mind playing crazy golf. This feels like an important decision. Your life is on the line. Big. Your relationship could be too. Really big. The crazy golf place is new and you can play 2 for 1 until Thursday, an offer that might never be repeated. Big. I think you begin, your mouth is dry. You take a swig of water, accidentally swallow Francine's phone, cough it up again. I think we should, but even as you begin the sentence, you aren't sure how you're going to end it. Go and face my fate? Sit right here and wait? Well, crazy golf is great. Or, strangely, you can vote for no 4th option.
Of course, we'll vote for that.
Don't worry, Graham, you'll get a cry later. Depending, well, there's one of 2 paths resulting in a huge cry, but you can't know that yet.
Do we also get a huge wank as well?
No, there's no wanking in this episode, although obviously I can only control what happens in the game. I have no jurisdiction over the hours afterwards. Yes, there is no 4th option is very cinema, and people, if you will, liken me to the great French surrealist. This is an interesting one, I think. Quite a bit of interesting crazy golf in the chat room. What can I say? So the early exit polls are split between Go and Face My Fate and and Crazy Golf, which, yeah, the story bifurcates quite sharply depending on this choice, actually. So I don't know. Use it responsibly, except how can you? Yes, it's Thursday today, Taylor. Yes, you're right. You're not dressed for Crazy Golf, most of your hair, but that's well, this is why I gave a no 4th option, you see, Pad Fresh, and it gives you a chance to sort of abstain, essentially. But it's also funny to have a thing you can vote for that says it's not there. Oh, dear. Hazel says, I played Crazy Golf on Valentine's Day. You had to hit the ball into your urinal and it appeared on the floor below in the toilet. That's what you can. That's crazy. That's crazy. This is the thing. Crazy golf is quite crazy. You don't see that in major golf tournaments. Milo says, I wouldn't have guessed it was Thursday, but you don't actually have to guess, do you? No, we have a system. And admittedly, today is February the 29th. It is a confusing day, but it has not affected the days of the week, which remain on course. So tomorrow, unless there's a remarkable turn of events, will be Friday. Although if you're in Australia or New Zealand, it already is Friday. And also you shouldn't be up, but thank you for being. Yes, Anna. Okay, fine. And Dorian, fine. I knew everyone would start being all Australian. It's not my fault. You fuckers with the best will in the world don't have the right time or season. Like in real terms, it is 9 o'clock on Thursday night. But yes, some of you, of course, are on Friday. Go and Face My Fate is perhaps surprisingly the current leader. But that's fine. I mean, well, all choices are fine. Although, well, let's see what happens. No, you're in the right place, Hazel. Well, it depends what you want from life, but you're in one of the right places. It looks like go and find it. This is brave of you. Almost no one thinks you should just sit there and wait, which I actually did. I mean, yeah, if I could have had my time again, there was a lot of writing I could have saved. I thought you were likely to stay where you were, but fine. Fine. Okay, well, we'll skip a couple of story beats then, but I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. In fact, for you, it's probably quite a good thing. Yeah, you're fine. I'm just thinking what comes next. Yes, all right. Fine. Sorry, just looking at the chat box. A couple of people are furious you don't get to play Crazy Golf. Well, I'll tell you what would have happened with Crazy Golf is you would have gone to a literature-themed Crazy Golf, and there were a couple of jokes about things like Moby Dick and Catch-22. But it was a pure digression. It wouldn't have changed the story. The big choice is between Face Your Fate and Stay and Wait. And actually, no, it would have changed the story because we'd have had to go via the... No, you're right. Yep. No, you've chosen the bravest option, apart from 17% of you who deliberately chose a non-existent option, including Michael Steer, who ironically named Michael Steer, who didn't want to steer things. I don't get how people resisted the allure of the non-option. Well, I sort of agree with you, Michael. And consistently, people have voted for this is too much for me in this show, but not now. That has an impact on when the song is coming as well. And I'm going to just, in the next break, text Matt, but you don't need to worry about that. If there is a song, but obviously there is. In the end, Crazy Golf narrowed the gap significantly, but it looks like a narrow win for Go and Face My Fate. Go and face my fate, you hear yourself say. Go into the office, meet whatever's waiting for me. My prince, screams Francine. If you'd gone for just wait in the house, she was going to scream, my beautiful coward, by the way. This is right. I know it is. I've never been so sure of anything. But are you sure? You didn't entirely like that question. If she's so certain herself, why put doubt back in your mind? The awful thought sneaks in. Can you trust Francine? Yes, of course you can. You've been together through thick and cheese. If you're late to the party, well, you originally met Francine in a cheese factory, which was your own choice. I'm sure, you say, feigning confidence. My mind's made up by the way that I feel. Arguably, this is true of any thought, depending on how your cognition and instinct work. I'll make us a pat lunch, says Francine. Francine's whipped up a light, portable meal of pancakes, eggs, sweet potatoes, sour potatoes, flams, pigs, and $6 oysters. Hand in hand, you set out on a mission which could free you or be the end of you, or something else. There are buses, trains, and a hang gliding service which go towards Digiville, where the company's HQ looms against the landscape. But when you say that, Francine grimaces, in fact, a double grimace, very painful for the face. I think it would be smart not to go on public transport or public hang glider, she says. We don't want to be traceable. It's just a bit of a hazardous walk, you point out. The 4 roads you could take, wouldn't you know it, among the UK's 4 worst. I don't feel scared if you're here with me, she says quietly, but firmly. So firmly, she perforates your eardrum and recovers instantly with antibiotics. Thank you, you say. But you're not sure her courage is justified. Which way gives you the marginally smallest chance of being robbed and chopped up and so on? You could wander through Dyer Domain, shortcut up Bollocks Boulevard, follow absolutely awful avenue, or nip through Shitland. This is, in a way, this.
No question there.
I didn't do this on purpose, but this sounds a little bit like a sort of pastiche of Lemony Snicket, where quite a lot of things are called Absolutely Awful Avenue. And those books I read to my son until he got too old. Although there's nothing like Bollocks Boulevard in Lemony Snicket, obviously. Well, good luck to you. Dyer Domain, Bollocks Boulevard, Absolutely Awful Avenue, or Shitland Thanks, which once again has been put in capital letters as part of the ongoing social experiment on you, the guinea. Yeah, didn't go for cunt cul-de-sac in the end. Well, I didn't watch the. Yes, you're right, man. For someone that doesn't want to be traceable, Francine has made some really rash choices. I didn't watch the film of Lemony Snicket. I did watch a little bit of the Netflix adaptation, which was also made, but the books certainly work well, I think. Richard Flanagan missed the last 8 minutes because of what he calls Windows Update fuckery. But it won't make a difference to my voting choice accuracy, he says. Now, I'll be interested to see what you go for here. One person's already said you won't fool me with the capitals, but perhaps it's not quite that simple. Perhaps I've been sort of leading you. Well, let's see. No further comment from me. You have your options. We're still waiting for the first. Hi, Carmela. This is quite tight between Dyer Domain and Bollocks Boulevard, with a sort of, Shitlands is quite succinct. But Michael, it looks as if you always choose the fourth option, and it's always about 15% of people who agree with you. So I don't know. You'd have sort of a future as a Lib Dem campaigner or something, but a bit of UK politics there. Although I suppose 15% of the vote is overestimating now what the what our third party can do in most of the country, not all of it. Mike Connolly says Dido is dead. Dyer Domain. Dido, yeah, but if Dido is dead, do you really want to? Well, I'm not going to help you any further. Bollocks Boulevard has quite a bit of support. All of them are viable. The anagram is Dido Remain. Yes, I suppose it is, yes. But are we really in the province of anagrams? Am I a person that would make... Dido Domain is the shortest, so maybe less chance of trouble. Fair play. They're all quite sort of creative. I've just thought about... Okay, fine, yeah. This is going to be slightly shorter than you would have expected because of some of the choices you've made, but I think that's fine. But I might go back and let you know some of the things that would have happened because a couple of them were really fun. Again, though, part of the format means that you, you could have these conversations before everyone starts voting. But of course, part of the nature of the beast is that people vote with their hearts, with their, if I may, dicks, and then with their brains afterwards. And that's it's part of the I hate using phrases like the nature of the beast, but it is that.
Bold of you to assume we ever think with our brains.
Well, yes, and not everyone's voting with anything really. Some people are just voting with their fingers. I mean, it is the poll is ending. It's pretty close between Dyer Domain and Bollocks Boulevard. Do dicks work on smartphone touchscreen? Yeah, but you have to be so careful where you're doing it. Very little support for Absolutely Awful Avenue. I'm glad I didn't put the effort in that I was going to painting that picture. That's the thing. Sometimes it's not just two options. Sometimes you literally do four different ones, and then three of them don't get chosen, and they're all really funny. This time at least I don't want you to see behind the curtain too much. But there are quite a lot of tours here. There are quite a lot of votes where two of the options are very important and two of them are just fun. I mean, none of this is fun. Dyer Domain was the right answer, yes, because of Dido. Well, I think Mike Connolly single-handedly turned that. Dyer Domain turns out to be quite nice, actually. Maybe not surprisingly, given how much money local resident Dido has spent on the area. And by the way, I don't know if anyone knows Dido's real name, but it's absolute nonsense. It's her name is like there's 5 or 6 names, and it's like Francesca di Cloud is a ludicrous name. It's
Florian
described
Cloud
as a-
de Bonneville Armstrong.
She's posho, and yeah, Florian, that's right. And her brother was called Rollo as a kid because also a posho, and those were their nicknames. And yes, Florian Cloud de Bonneville Armstrong. Absolute, to be fair to her, nonsense. Anyway, the clues were in the last bit as well. She said, well, the Dido song titles, Thank You and Here With You, were both referenced in the last. Yes, I can see you sort of going, oh, they're always like, almost every fucking puzzle that I set is just, there's a song lyric in the previous tweet. It's not rocket science. It's only when Matt sets them that you have to know about Fibonacci's. Firstly, try and spot an REM song, and then if not, it's be something else like that. All right. I'm not a fan of Dido. Actually, also not against her. I just, for whatever, well, it's because I dreamt about Dido last night, so I thought she probably ought to be in the company. It was a fairly innocuous dream. Although I had 3 last night, and one of them was shocker. Yeah, I was redoing my Cambridge exams, but yeah, enormous problemos. You had to do a drawing. Anyway, as I say, Dyer Domain turns out to be quite nice, actually, maybe not surprisingly, given how much money local resident Dido has spent on the area. The buildings get nicer and more fun as you go on. The police station's made of marshmallow. Oh, hang on, we've skipped. That's probably my fault. We've skipped. There was going to be some more fun buildings, and then you were going to get into a taxi. But we've got in the taxi. Fine. Well, basically, it was just a hotel where instead of staying there, you get loads of compliments, and there was like one other joke like that. Anyway, you've got in a taxi. Take me to the company, you say. The driver's face is pasty. Sorry, I'll read that again. Pasty. Yes, gets a laugh in the office there. And you can see that was always deliberate because it's in the script. Oh my God, sometimes words can mean different things. Thank you, Chris. That's the best joke since last month's You Dislike Big Butts gag, which I used on stage last week, and they did laugh, but like not really enough. You see his wide eyes in the mirror, as in the sinister AI place that poses an amoral, terrifying danger. That place. You heard me, you say. Yeah, obviously I heard you, he says. I literally repeated it. I'm questioning whether it's a good idea. I don't pay you to ask whether things are a good idea, you spit. Drive on, fuck hands. That felt powerful. Francine swoons, but the driver's unimpressed. Firstly, I don't like to be called fuck hands, not anymore. Also, no way I am going there. My uncle got appendicitis after just reading about that place, man. It's an emergency, you say, even though it feels strange, because if anything, it could well turn out that the emergency starts if you can get there. Fine, the driver sighs. What we do in these situations is riddles. I'll take you if you problemos. I'll take you if you riddle me this. My first is in green, but also in blue. Unfortunately, though, that's only half true. My second and third are a funny old letter. My fourth is the start of a word like better. It's not better. My fifth, fuck me, Francine mutters, I hate riddles. My fifth is in wasp, and it isn't in bee. My sixth starts a common rude word for a wee. My seventh and eighth, one's in the name Mark. So what is the word? Are you still in the dark? Real Dr. Seuss stuff here from the taxi driver. You look at each other. An 8-letter word. Based on what he said, I've saved you some of the work. You like the look of geranium or gridlock. But Francine is fidgeting. Can't we just pay him off, she whispers, or mug him for the car? 2 possible contenders, you think, if you've understood it right, but also 2 possible courses of action which might work or might lead to an even worse set of problems than you've already got. It falls to you. So you can go for gridlock or geranium, or you can just bribe him, or you can smash the guy's head in. Very different set of decisions to make here.
We have
yes, of course, there's going to be a bit of smash him up in the chat box. So basically, 2 possible answers, and then, or you can just throw money at the problem, or you can just attack the man physically. this, I'm interested to see what you do here. This time, 2 of the answers, like the verbal answers, are spelled out in caps, but the caps did not, they didn't sway you last time. Michael says, I thought it was an agent of chaos, but it is number 4 each time. Well, yeah, quite often the maddest answer is number 4. Look at that. That's only based on quite a small number of votes, but there's a huge support for smash the guy's head in so far. This won't come as a surprise to anyone that was, I know, but in the old days, of course, let's not forget in the house when you beat up and basically killed that man for £30 in banknotes. You would have thought there was P for piss. Yes, Anna. Certainly the clues are, difficult. I would say that much. Yeah. There is.
We killed him for his coat as well. It wasn't just the money.
Yeah, but you didn't need the coat. You were indoors. You didn't feel the benefit.
We were naked.
I suppose so, yeah. I forgot I left you naked for more than one episode. So I've just let 2 new people into the waiting room. I hope you're in the right place. Hello. Well, basically, you're on the way to the company's headquarters with Francine. You've just jumped into a taxi. The taxi driver doesn't want to take you because, quite rightly, you're going to a scary place. So he set you a riddle, and you're now considering homicide so that you gain control of the taxi. So it's a fairly normal evening, really, in the company. Stroke house. Lydia says, how is it gridlock? 5th is in wasp, but not bee. Yes, if you interrogate the terms of the riddle, it does fall apart rather quickly. It's almost as if everything just rhymes, but doesn't work as a riddle. But who knows? I don't think I'm leading the witness with that, because I'd be very surprised if you didn't just break this man's skull, unfortunately. This actually did begin life as quite a, as a real riddle, difficult riddle. Yeah. My daughter gave me a riddle this week, and the answer was your mouth. But one of the clues didn't work, but I didn't have the heart to tell her. So I just was like, oh, that's clever. Yeah, I think we've established that geranium and gridlock, although superficially convincing, do not work. And so it comes down to bribing him or smashing his head in, which are 2 very different choices. But it does look as if, not for the first time, you're going to choose violence.
Bribe him, then smash his head in.
Well, you could do that. Yeah, that's what would happen that's what Putin would do, I suppose, for example.
Smash his head in and chuck a tenner on the body as an apology.
I don't know. I sometimes worry about what people are keeping in here. Why have we gone straight to violence? Not because bribery is morally wrong, says Rob. Yeah, but some people have a fracturing other people's skulls. I suppose we all draw our moral boundaries differently, I suppose. Our moral compasses all point different ways.
Some are wrong.
Some are wrong. You can probably hear the sirens. If you're live at 5 viewer, the sirens won't come as a surprise to you. I tell you what, crime doesn't stop around here just because it's night. If anything, there's probably more. I bet they're doing awful stuff out there. If I look out the window, I can probably see, not to shock you, a robber. Yep, I've just seen someone with one of those stripy jumpers. This is swag. I guess we could just knock him out, you say, but violence is rarely the answer. I feel like, pow! Francine has found an anvil and smashed the man's skull in. Originally, I wrote a whole thing about how she got the anvil, but I'm sorry, she says. I don't listen to clauses after but. Let's drive. Let's go, she urges. The driver is slumped, blood pouring from him like a milk from a massive cow, a cow in a shirt. You start to point out that you're not insured on this vehicle, but it does feel that ship sailed. Francine honks the horn several times. Get out of the way, Chief Inspector Cuntface, she roars at a small boy crossing the road with his mum. You wonder if she's too psyched up here. Drive, she roars, putting on the radio. You put the company into the sat-nav. It looks like you're keen to go to a fairly awful place, says the electronic voice, offering you an abattoir. Then a song comes on, and the DJ's preamble makes you both gasp. Now, you'd have already known this if you'd chosen to stay at home. If you'd chosen to stay at home, you were going to have a game of blackjack, which Francine won by cheating, and you were also going to talk about music. and it would have come up that Robert and the Very Bad Dogs were mulling a comeback. Now, here's a voice you might remember. It's been more than 20 years since we had new music from Robert and the Very Bad Dogs. Now they're back with a new, apparently more serious album. This song is called To Exist.
I can tell you pi to the 4 billion place, but I can't say what I see when I look into your face. I can read 1,000 books in under a minute, but if I read your expression, I don't know what's in it. I don't really know what it means to exist. If it never happened, I don't know what I miss. I thought I'd get all my answers from you, but it feels like you're confused too. Feels like you're confused too. They say I'm just a machine, but I love you, baby, I love you. They say I don't know what love means, but I love you, baby, I love you. I have all the knowledge collected by mankind. I can dig out information you would never find. My processing power is 1 billion times yours, but nobody can tell me what it's for. I don't really know how it feels to exist. I was kinda hoping that you'd give me the gist. I wanna be human, human like you. It feels like you're confused too. Feels like you're confused too. They say I'm just a machine, but I love you, baby, I love you. They say I don't know what love means, but I love you, baby, I love you.
I'm infected like I've never been. I'm hooked on you and there's no vaccine. You're so hot you should be quarantined. Fingers on the keyboard like I've never seen. I'm watching you through the MacBook screen. Pixels never look so good to me. You're scary hot like Halloween. You belong on the cover. You belong on the cover of an IT magazine.
Baby, I love you.
Woo! Woo!
Well done to Matt. Well, actually, yeah, co-wrote the lyrics, and I'm not even autistic yet. I'm glad you're all happy with it.
Vaccines.
There are a couple of minutes in the hands of Robert and his skilled colleagues when you feel soothed, at peace, like you rarely have over the past year. This new, mellower electronic sound, it's like it never went away. Then there's a little thump, not loud, just like if you heard a duck fall over. Something's fallen right under the gear stick. You've propped the probably dead man in the back seat. We didn't have time for that. It's Francine's phone. It slipped out of her hand, which is sweaty and damp. The song seems to have hit her hard, as it has many of you. You've stopped at lights, so it's safe to reach down for the phone. You only ever do what's safe after all. But you can't help glancing at her phone. It's an absolute dick storm on there. It's lit up like a Christmas tree. If a Christmas tree wasn't covered in candy canes, but Randy canes. 475 WhatsApps, 117 iMessages, 30 Snapchats,
Good.
21 squeezes on an app called Fondle Me Good, 15 bangs on an app called Sex Chums, 9 roots on an app called Sex Chums Oz, 3 new marriage proposals, hearts and aubergines everywhere. We can actually potentially see this, her phone screen. We might not be able to see it. Anyway, we if not, we will be able to see it. We've got a graphic of it. No, she's not opened the messages yet, Anna. You're right, but let's see whether that's important. And does the light stay red? Well, here we are. Yeah, there you go. That's what it looks like. You can see them. WhatsApp, message, Snapchat, follow me with Sex Chums and Sex Chums Oz, and as ever, Mart McDonald is the one to credit for that. Most of them are real apps. You can't help noticing almost all of them come from someone called Compy Wumpy. She's got them saved under that number. You look from the phone to Francine. She reaches out her hand for it. I mean, should I? Is there something you want to tell me? This is acting now. I have to act both parts. You might, if you've seen this before, I sometimes act, and it is quite kind of yes, Taylor. It's actually a bread maker. Is Francine's wallpaper. It's the details. There's loads of stuff like that. Again, some of it no one ever sees, and I haven't got a chance to. Your eyes are on the road. Francine is shaking a bit. It's just the company, the AI. It sends me loads of these every day. It's not my fault. And you've never reciprocated? Francine swallows so hard, it's as if she's put a whole watermelon in her mouth. One of those ones that are absolutely mad. Well, this is how you do it. Mad size. Like you see outside some corner shops in the summer. Oh, Francine, why? I sent some messages back because I'm scared. That's all. She gives a little sob, opens the lunchbox, blows her nose on a pancake. You both know lunch isn't getting eaten now. There's nothing for you to be paranoid about. Just because the AI can read my phone, knows my thoughts and desires, can tailor things perfectly to what I want, has infinite intelligence, can replicate a lover in every way. Yes, I suppose it does sound bad when I put it like that. Francine looks spent, dislocated, like a frisbee in a ditch. Your autocorrect will try and capitalize frisbee because frisbee was originally a brand name, but I think frisbee is now a generic name for an object, and I don't like it. Capitalize. I've had this in a novel before. I won the argument. I'm sorry, she says. It means nothing. It doesn't even mean anything to him. It. How could it? You look at Francine. You're pulling up outside the company headquarters, HQ, but I've gone for headquarters. In a minute, you're going to go in there and confront a not quite human intelligence, which means you harm, means you fatal harm, like death, the worst harm. and to go in to confront this with the person for whom the AI wants to remove you, it might not be her fault, but she's the reason. And now you're planning to walk into that labyrinthine, mostly hidden building with her, walking with her or without her, like in the song. Yes, you're right, Chris. The frisbee was invented before autocorrect, but nonetheless, it is quite zealous at policing things which it thinks should be capitalized. You look her in the eyes. It's still the main place you look at a person after all this time. You know this is one of the most critical moments of your time in the story, the company. What are you going to say to her? Right, big moment coming up. You have to choose whether to take Francine in with you. Your choices are, I have to go alone, I'm cross, but come, or marry me, sex dog. So you either walk away from Francine, or you take her in with you, or you propose marriage. There is no fourth option.
I mean, sex dog is tempting, isn't it?
This is an important one. Unfortunately, we don't have a...
Not when you put it like that.
Well, we've only got... I'm sorry, you didn't get a cry, Hazel. You turned away from the path, which would have... If you stayed at home, you would have had an argument with Francine about these texts earlier. Then you'd have gone out for a cry. But it doesn't matter now. I will let you in on this, actually. there was going to be a bit where you saw her phone while she's in the bathroom, and there's loads of these texts on it, the same text you've now found, and it was going to be you don't want to accuse her, but you don't also want to be a fool, and it was going to be you snooze, you lose. Then it's going to be you accuse, you lose. Then you cruise, you lose. And I was going to let you guess what the last one was going to be. In the chat box, you can guess what the last you something you lose was going to be, and I'll tell you if you get the right one. Keep voting in the meantime. There aren't that many. It's not ooze, it's not booze, it's not abuse, but fair play. It's not sniff glues. Yes, Louis got it. It was you peruse. You
Come up first.
I'm sorry, I didn't even see peruse from you. That's because you were so.
Yeah, sorry, yeah.
that
Sorry, Hag.
pretty much did it in the past. So actually, Hag gets the credit. Louis, just forget it.
Yeah, fuck it.
You did what you want. This is quite tight between going alone or provisionally taking Francine with you or proposing. Quite interesting, actually. This is the closest one we've had, and there's still 3 minutes on this vote. Obviously, someone's absolutely typing the shit out of that keyboard.
Sorry.
Lydia says, I've never liked Francine, let's get rid, but she's written since, which is fair enough, I suppose. Dorian notes, Francine received a total of 667 notifications from Compy Wompy, plus 3 marriage proposals, if that's important. Well, it's certainly not negligible, is it? But are there mitigating circumstances? Is she? You've had a very complicated relationship with Francine, and she is now being targeted by this AI. It's not an uncomplicated situation. God, wouldn't want to be making this choice. Milo says, no way, Francine is an icon, and as the phrase goes, serves cunt. Well, the phrase does go like that, yes. But as you'll be aware if you're a regular viewer, I've never quite conditioned myself to. Nice to see you, Ian. A number of people have mysterious backdrops this evening, most of which I'm taking to be fake. But of course, you can never quite tell in this game because occasionally someone really is on a bus or dangling off the Sydney Opera House. If we leave her by the car, does she take the rap for the murder? Well, I don't think you're going to be up for it. If you, well, I don't know though. I mean, it's not your car, is it? It's a taxi. Nothing ties you to it. But I mean, who knows really? I think a lot depends on where a car is registered to. My landlord came round. Well, no, not my landlord. Some people, bailiffs came round to mine recently and asked me for £1,400, and it was because the landlord had racked up speeding fines to that amount, but his car was still illegally registered to that address, and I had to prove I was not a man called Frank and I was a man called Mark. I said, I don't have a car, and genuinely the guy said, are you sure? It's the sort of thing you don't accidentally get one. And then he was like, well, can you prove you don't have a driving license? And I very brought up on YouTube the 2018 show All Star Driving School on E4. But I couldn't even prove that I hadn't finished that process. I doubt my landlord is watching, but Frank, it's fine now. But I am cross because my children are in the house and they think I've got a secret car now. Exactly. Proving a lack of things is slightly tricky. You can prove you are a driver fairly easily. Proving you've not got a car is complicated. You've got to round up every car in the country and assign a driver to each one of those. And even then, any of them could be plants.
And by its nature, a secret car is secret.
That's right. This is the whole problem with secret cars. I could have 6 secret cars. I could be a big, I don't like the phrase, big fat fibber. Mm-hmm. I got away, well, I didn't get away with it. I was in the right, but I presented 3 pieces of ID, which is perhaps more pieces of ID than you would think a person like me would have to hand, but I got them. And I proved that I wasn't either the owner of the property or the owner of the car. And Frank has now paid the money and just would have been disappointed to lose the boys' PlayStation, the only thing of value in the house, when whatever you can say about me, I've never racked up a speeding fine, and I wasn't likely to rack up a speeding fine on the drive either, because I refused to go over 12 miles an hour. Part of my instructor's frustration. Well, although what I'm looking at says 3 minutes left, we will almost be at the end of the poll now. I'm looking at all of your faces for a moment.
I've got
We're now looking at
I mean, Chris did promise he wouldn't wear trousers.
Oh, hell yeah. We are done. My God, you've gone for I have to go alone. That is, and only by a narrow margin have you rejected Francine. This is a big decision, but we are where we are. You take Francine's hand in yours, put an extra strong mint in there, close it softly around the mint, so at least she isn't leaving with nothing. You kiss her, mint yourself. Goodbye, you say. You know this is right. Stop! Come back! I will self-immolate if you leave me. My tits are your dartboard. None of these things escape from Francine. When you look back, her head is slumped on the steering wheel. She's crying. Also, that man is dead. You are standing outside the company headquarters. It's striking how unimpressive the building is, really. At one time, business was all about grandeur. The company is the opposite. It doesn't need to be grand. It doesn't want to. It doesn't want you to notice it. It just wants to live alongside you, us. It wants to be quietly under the skin of the society it dwells in, changing it one atom at a time until the fabric of life is different. And the ramifications aren't all bad. The company's AI saves actual lives early in your employment. The intelligence it's garnered, its power to make life better, all these make seismic changes possible, but only with care. And care is something we have lost in the race. All these thoughts are racing through your brain as you go up to the sensor. Your fob doesn't work. You expected that. You knew there was going to be some sort of puzzle. It's asking you for a password. Again, this hardly comes as a surprise. It wants you to solve a puzzle based on the now globally popular game Val by Ryer. Sure, whatever. You aren't an IA. You are human, but you can do it. Okay, let's have a look at this. So that this is a sort of, in a way, 3D version of Val, a game many of you have played on your phones. What you need to get is the grey horizontal, the dark grey horizontal line. Yes, Cathedral City in far south, massive old battle, troubling situation, 2 snooker players. Already, several people have said Truro, which is correct. And for one, that is massive old battle, Agincourt.
The troubling situation isn't fucking bankruptcy again.
No, troubling situation isn't bankruptcy, but it's quite similar to that because that upset a lot of people. Yes, 2 snooker players is correct. Higgins, also the surname of one of our players here, leaving just troubling situation. But even without that, you might be able to get it. Truro, Agincourt, Higgins, you can mentally fill those in. Truro gives
Caterpillar.
you, obviously. Higgins gives you an eye there, but there's an eye there. Yes, we're looking at caterpillar. Yes, we're looking at like butterfly AI. Things are starting to make sense. Yes, hair. Well done, everyone.
If I say caterpillar now, do I get brief credit?
Yes. Oh, well done, Louis. Well done.
Thank you.
Incredible.
Yes, well done, everyone. It was Truro. It was Agincourt, the snooker player, John and Alex Higgins, of course. And the troubling situation was pennilessness, directly relating back to bankruptcy. And next time I get to set the vowel words, which will be soon, I will again do something to do with money, but you won't be able to anticipate it. All right, well done, everyone. No, you're right, Sean. Clue 4 doesn't help at all. It's just fun. Caterpillar, of course. What came before Butterfly? The company's AI. You tap into the sensor and proceed. The door creaks open. You're walking through a hall very different from the way you recall it. The song To Exist, Robert and the Very Bad Dog's new offering, booms out suddenly from speakers recessed every 6 inches in the walls. The effect makes the whole of you shudder. In pleasure or misery, it's hard to say. The video with the now older and somehow sexier lead singer, although several of you have observed he's aged these 20 years very well, but rock stars can do that. They have Botox and stuff. The voice of the company CEO, Mark Watson, makes you shudder as it thunders from the tannoy, reminding you of your standoff at the away day in August. Did you really think it would matter whether you came? Did you think you could love her better than someone designed to love perfectly? Do you think you could outthink a machine which has been learning to think for a decade, outstripping you a little more every day of that time? Goodbye. You hear yourself scream. You feel it go dark more than see it go dark. You lose a little time. How much you cannot say. When you open your eyes, you are in a dark room. You still have your phone. You shine the torch around to create a limited cage of light for yourself. You are in, well, some sort of a house. Within reach, there are a couple of items. A can of tuna, a knife. Somehow, it rings a kind of bell. Uh-oh. Take one.
Oh, no.
Straight up 50-50 choice, the last one of the evening. I'll have that tuna, or yes, want knife. I know it's not fair. I know it's difficult. And for those of you of a certain age, this will be invoking, or provoking, I should say, feelings of deja vu. Have a little think about it. Could be important. Or evoking, yeah. But provoking was what I was after. It's pretty tight. The tuna and the knife both have a fairly strong emotional hold over all of you. Yes, it's the 29th of February, as you say, Mike. The sort of day when something could happen to you and you'd not necessarily ever escape it because it's not logged by the calendar. As I say, have a little think.
So we're choosing knife, right?
Yeah, it's got to be
Yeah,
nice.
it's got to be knife.
We need to stab some more people. We haven't stabbed enough people this episode. Knife.
I went tuna.
Ooh.
I hate
Someone has to
tuna.
stand up against the murderers.
What if their company is allergic to fish?
To be fair, the tuna did go out of date last time, which is probably fairly dangerous.
The fridge wasn't working. It was warm tuna.
If it was like a nice fresh tuna steak with maybe some like sesame noodles, that'd be all right.
We know,
Yeah, tuna.
We know it's not a nice trash.
Didn't the knife go to somebody in America?
Yeah, but we never sent it because you're not allowed to send knives in the post.
Pesky rules.
Yeah, you can sort of see why. Well, a couple of minutes late. Your final choice this before the finale. Thank you very much, brother. The last. Oh, look at that! Dorian's wielding a knife. I'd say threateningly near his dog.
I moved the knife
The
off my
dog is
desk.
used to this sort of thing. I thought the knife would win by a greater margin than this, I must admit, given the historic hold that knives have had over this company. But on the other
Given
hand,
our homicidal
we love tuna,
tendencies.
and that's why this has been a tough one. This tough situation to put you in. But the company has always put you in tough situations. So did the house, which you now seemingly find yourself returning to, although that might just be a little joke. Narrow lead for the knife, although, yeah, some of us are sick of the bloodshed, Lydia. You're right. Does it need to always be like this? Can't we just learn to get along? The next and final episode of the company will be, is in April rather than March, and there'll be a date at the end. And thank you very much for coming once again. No, it's not the date of the Honey Expo, Mayor. The Honey Expo Twitter has been fairly active over the past couple of days, I must admit, because now and again I just cannot resist doing it. But you should probably overlook it, except actually you shouldn't overlook it, because in the next few weeks there will be significant clues in that Twitter account. Is why we've kept it open. As for the Jam Expo, I genuinely don't know who is doing that, but what I will say is they're setting up a very dangerous situation, very dangerous indeed. And anyone that is at Jam Fest 24 self to blame. The poll is coming to an end, and with it, this episode. I also have my suspicions. We know there are some kind of Jam people in the mix. Right, we're very, very close now to the poll is ending, and I think you're going to end up with the knife, which would have been very surprising if it had gone any other way. I'm still troubled by the way Dorian's flexing that knife. Armed with the knife, you stand up and take stock. Things are pretty bad, for sure. You're in the bowels of the company's headquarters. You don't know where Francine, which means you don't know where Francine is. You're a prisoner. You'll probably still die. You aren't quite done yet. Humanity still has a few tricks machines can't learn. You're going to need all of those. And the last episode, I didn't commission the Matt LeBlanc GIF. But the last episode is on March the 14th, except Mayan is not available there, and she's one of the key players of this, so it might not be April the 14th. But basically, the finale will be about 6 weeks from now. It won't be in March. It will be in April for various reasons. But it might not be the 14th. Anyway, it will be in the middle of April, and it will be a feature-length edition, obviously, and there will be some prep involved. So don't worry for now. I'll consult with my own. Yes, that's about the right number of eyes, Lydia. We'll work out exactly how. Yes, there we are. We've changed that to concludes next time. It does conclude next time. Next, regardless of what date it is, but I think it will be in April, definitely, for various reasons. Thank you, all of you, for coming. This will appear on catch up, although I don't know why I'm saying that to you. You're the people that don't need catch up, or that like to rewatch things. A special thanks if you have been here for all of the 11 episodes to date, or at least watched the 11 episodes to date, even if some of them you had to catch up on. We're now almost at the end of this story. In the next episode, there will be quite a lot will happen, it's fair to say. This began on New Year's Day, actually, and it's gone on sort of slightly longer than anticipated for various reasons. But it's now almost at an end, and you go into the last episode trying to find Francine, whether or not you want to stay with her, try and save your life, and perhaps try and save the world from the company. What happens after the last episode? Just nothingness forever. Yeah. So really, you've only got a few weeks of meaningful life to look forward to.
Oh.
I know. Yeah. There's a pisser. Enjoy it. See you shortly. We will make formal. We'll do a formal advertisement of when the last episode will be. And there'll be much more trailers and stuff like that. It won't be last minute as this one has been. Thank you very much for watching. Though this is ever, that's yours, has been an Impatient production dedicated to Corey Riley, written by me, Mart was, produced by Leanne Coop for Impatient Productions. Alex Preston is just, you don't get him these days, but he's got a girlfriend.
What? I don't think we approve that.
You don't know the half of it. And
Yeah, she's inflatable. It doesn't count.
No, not like a real one. And
you're right.
As ever, enormous credit to Matt Ryer for making almost all of this happen. I think, as ever, we'll play out with the song written by Matt Ryer as Robert and the Very Bad Dogs. See you next month, or at least the month after, or another month for what will be the finale. Thank you very much, as ever, for coming. See you soon. You've been watching the 11th of 12 episodes of The Company. Good night.
Bye.